Hi, I'm Kim.
And I'm Andy.
And together we are the I Wonder Sisters. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so it's Monday. This was supposed to be on Sunday, but I don't know. I think either Sundays or Mondays. Sundays, I just sometimes don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah, I get
So
you.
yeah, so this is the fifth part, right, of the Goddess series, which means that it's the last part that we're doing for now. Of course, we'll probably come back to it because the goddesses are just endless. And as we research the goddesses from Andy's deck, from Doreen Virtue, you come across even more goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them that don't have too many images or too much on the internet about them. And Andy's going to introduce you to one of those goddesses today and just tell you she knows a lot about this goddess, and she'll also give you a website by which you can go to if you find that you connect with her attributes. So today we're doing Ishtar, which I was just drawn right to. And most of you have heard of Ishtar. We have okay, let me back her up. Let me back her up. There we go. That's a little bit better. We don't have any sun right now, so hopefully you can see that. It's a beautiful image. And
Pinot Woman, who you may never have heard of.
yes. So that's really interesting. So I'll go ahead first then.
Okay.
All right. So Ishtar, a lot of you probably have heard of. And her keyword on this card is boundaries. And I'm gonna, there we go, pull her back again a little bit. As you can see. And I'm gonna read what's on the card, but I'm also gonna read you a bit from the book. That's actually from the Goddess Guidance Oracle Cards deck by Doreen Virtue. Okay, this is the deck that Andy has. There we go. Oh, tilted forward. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to read you a bit about this, and I think it's like so key. I was drawn to her image actually, but then when I read the keyword and the information that she's giving and what we can call on her for, I said, you know what, we all of us, some of us have learned, some of you out there have learned, but we all have this issue of setting boundaries. And I know I have this issue. So it says boundaries. It says, love yourself enough to say no to others, demands that are on your time and take up your energy. So that was huge for me because I definitely have an issue. I'm a tough girl. I'm not I'm not a pushover. I do say what I feel, but I find that I always want to do something for somebody. If they say they need it done, I want to be the one to do it. And a lot of that is ego, wanting to be the one that was there, that's always there. Even though sometimes I'm just tired or out of it, I'm just not feeling it or whatever. I find that lots of times I'll just say yes because I want to be the one that can be depended upon. And a lot of that is ego.
That's a very strong realization to have, and very honest, I have to say.
It really is, because I had to figure out, Kim, why do you always do that, even when you're exhausted?
And she does.
I do it.
She does.
Do it. I'll just say, sure, sure, because I can. I'll do it because I physically can, or I'm around and I can, even though I might not I really may not feel well or just be exhausted or something like that. But I want to be the one, I want to be the one to say, yes, Kim got that done, and it's exhausting. So we all have those issues, and we have them for different reasons, but I want to read the message here. It says, oh, Maxie, it's Maxie Doodle. Okay, Maxie, at least show your face and say hi, because you just look like a lump crawling. But oh, gosh, she's so devilish. Okay, message from Ishtar. A sincere desire to give of service is wonderful. However, there's a distinction between giving of yourself and giving up yourself. If you feel tired, guilty, or resentful while helping others, then you're not truly helping them, are you? You're injecting poisonous energies into the relationship and then no one benefits. Step back and reassess the situation. As you respect your own boundaries, others will begin to recognize and respect them within you and within themselves as well. Now, that's a healthy behavior to teach to others. The various meanings of this card: you're giving too much. You need to become more assertive. Don't do things out of guilt or obligation. Now, about Ishtar, she's been worshipped and invoked since ancient Babylonian times as the embodiment of Venus's womanly energy. Ishtar represents the divine feminine in all of her aspects, including nurturing, mothering, sensuality, fertility, healing, protection, and wisdom. As a multi-dimensional goddess, Ishtar doesn't tire of helping the men and women who call upon her for assistance. So I think this is such a great lesson for all of us, is that if we're having issues with setting boundaries, I think also to go along with it, we need to maybe ask our matron, ask ourselves, however we do it, just go within, contact the energy of Ishtar and say, why is it? There she is. Why is it that I keep doing this? Why is it that I say yes when I know that I really, really don't have to do it? Okay. And I really don't feel like doing it, because it does bring about resentment that we hold on the inside and we're really not being truthful. That's what I find about myself as I asked myself the question on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Why am I doing this when I know I really don't feel like doing it? So great goddess, great card, great message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pinot Woman. I found her quite by accident on a website called Child of Bones. And it's a website run by a woman named Francesca. I don't know her last name. And she's based in London and in the UK. And she does readings and spiritual mentoring and things like that. But I was very drawn to Pinot Woman because Pinot Woman represents the transitional times in life. She sees life as cyclical. And when you're at a beginning or an end, that in between space is Pinot Woman. She's the light just before the dawn and the darkness just before the night.
Yeah.
And she comes when you're in transition. I think she's an Hispanic goddess, and her symbol is the spiral. And the spiral is a rather eternal symbol. It goes on for a very long time. It doesn't really have a beginning or an end. And that appealed to me very much. I mean, I considered Pinot Woman to be my matron, my main matron. I also like Kuan Yin, and I have a beautiful statue of her. But Pinot Woman, as I feel that I am in transition all the time, Pinot Woman appeals to me the most.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the spiral too, not only does it really not have a beginning and ending, but even if you wanted to point out one end from the other, how do you know which is which?
Yeah.
They're really the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting symbol to have, because you don't really know where did it start. Did it start here? or did it start there?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really cool about that too. Does she not also represent a bird or something like that? I
I don't
thought there
think
was
so.
something else. Oh, maybe that was somebody else that you were talking about.
It
Is
was Athena.
Was it Athena?
She had an owl and a black pigeon.
And Andy also thought about Caradwin, which actually is not in this particular oracle deck either. But how'd you come across her that particular night?
Caradwin, I used to have a wonderful goddess deck that a friend bought for me a long, long time ago. And I left it behind in Florida when I came here. But Caradwin was one of the goddesses that was in that deck. And I sort of fell in love with her story. Her
Mhm.
story is very complex
Yeah.
and a little bit scary too. And
Yeah.
she's a mother goddess, and she's also the goddess of inspiration. And she is almost always seen with a cauldron
Yeah.
because she makes a lot of spells. And her story, briefly, is that um, her two children, she had a daughter and a son. The daughter was ravishingly beautiful, and the son was hideously ugly. And Caradwin decided that brains over looks, and she made a spell in her cauldron to give to her son all the wisdom that there was. And she left the job of stirring the cauldron and minding it to a servant boy that worked for her. And he accidentally, also apparently, only the first few drops of this potion gave you wisdom. After that, the potion was poison. So by accident, this servant boy spills the first few drops on his hand and licks it off. And there goes all the wisdom. And Caradwin was beside herself.
Yeah.
Um,
Which apparently is a trait of hers, and I always like a badass goddess.
well, she is one. She is one for sure.
Yeah.
And what happens is the servant boy freaks out and runs away. So Caradwin is in hot pursuit of him. And he, along with the wisdom, has become a shapeshifter. So he keeps shapeshifting into different animals. And each time he does that, Caradwin, who is also a shapeshifter, shifts into an animal for whom the servant boy's animal would be prey. And he eludes her every time until finally he shapeshifts into a kernel of corn, and Caradwin turns herself into a hen and eats him. And born from this union, so to speak, is the poet Taliesin.
Oh, that is very interesting. Great. So I was telling Andy when she mentioned the name to me that evening, I said, "Oh, I've heard of her so many times, because a lot of people that I watch on YouTube, that for them, a couple of them, that is their matron, and I've also heard people talk about it, but I've never heard people really, talk about her story, about her lore. So I was like, yeah, she's really cool. So I'm gonna, I'll date her too. I'll date her too. But it's really all about, we're sharing all this information because it's really all about who you connect with. And it's no different really than meeting people.
It's exactly like that. It's
Yeah.
exactly like meeting someone. You have
Yeah.
an instant rapport with that person, or you
Or
don't.
you don't. Exactly. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or that person. It's just that the connection is not there. And it's the same way with, those of us who want to have relationship with the goddesses. It's the very same way. There's not anything wrong with them or us if we just don't resonate. So we share these attributes of who they are, because it's either going to connect with you and like ring a bell, like, oh yeah, that sounds like me. Or sometimes a goddess may have attributes that you're actually looking for, that you're aspiring to.
Right. The goddess can be um, in direct opposition to the kind of person you are,
Yeah.
but can have attributes that you aspire to or admire.
Yeah, or maybe you need.
Or maybe you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the sort of battle that I have. And for those of you that watched the video from last week, I did Yemaya, or Yamaya. Some of you may call her Yamaya. And I'm really feeling connected to her. And at first I was trying to find things that weren't alike about us. I said to Andy, she's a mermaid. Like, I'm not soft like that. I'm not a mermaid type of person, and then I had to like let that go and really read and really look at her. She has two tails, that are split. And she's the mother of everything. And I think even though I've never wanted children, I think I have a lot of those aspects within me that I tend to project in other ways. And I think some of that flow is what I need from her. That that water. I always see myself as a very grounded, like earth person. Like, I'm just here, stuck in the muck and mire. And so maybe I need that, from her as well. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure that she's going to be my matron. And it's just, there's some things from her that I need, and then there are other things in which I really relate. So you have to go by really what feels authentic to you. When you're choosing, or when you're just calling upon a goddess, not necessarily as your matron, but just because you need the energy and the help. So we also want to say to happy MLK Day. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we really wanted to just acknowledge that, and and really focus on, as he would say, like living the dream. And living the dream to me anyway is not just talking about wanting equality for people, but really truly deep in your heart wanting equality for people. Like when my mom fought in the civil rights movement, after she had me and I got a little bit older, and she would tell me stories, she would say, Kimmy, I fought for everyone, because there is nothing equal if we all don't have the same rights. It's like I fight for everybody. It doesn't make sense. I'm not fighting for power to switch sides. I'm fighting for everybody, and that's truly what equality is. And that's how she lived her life.
And that's how Martin Luther King lived his life.
Yes, exactly. And Andy and I have a great picture before we left Florida. It was MLK Day, and our friend Nancy, who's a generation down from me, she came over, and she brought her 6-pack and stuff, and we just were sitting outside. And of course, it was South Florida, so of course it was hot. We were sitting outside and just cracking up and laughing. And Nancy wanted to take pictures, of us, and not even knowing that we would be leaving the next month, and she took this picture after finally an hour of rearranging us. Kim, you get here. Kim, why are you always in the front? Kim, you move. Kim, you get here. No, now we can't see you. Now you can't see me. Now we can't see Andy. So after an hour, we came up with what Nancy thought was the perfect picture, and we call it Nutella sandwich, because I ended up in the middle. And here are 3 generations, 3 different backgrounds of people really people, with some similarities and a lot of differences, and we're really truly sisters and friends. And we just thought about it. It's MLK Day, so we posted that on Facebook at that time, and later on that evening, and said, living the dream. We're living the dream. And so we don't care about what each other looks like and skin colors and all of that. What we care about is, each other's well-being and what we're learning and how we're growing and whether or not we're really, living happy lives. That's what we really care about when it comes to each other. So we just want to share that with you.
And honor Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Because he was so ahead of his time. If he were alive today, he'd be turning over in his grave.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure if his spirit has any way of knowing, he's like, what is going on? But also, I'm sure that if his spirit can see any of this, he does see people like ourselves as well. And people hopefully like you guys out there who really know that equality is about everybody. It's so true when they say, if there's a group of people that's not free, then none of us are free. None of us are free. And so really right now, none of us are free. That's the reality. But let's just work towards that and just keep that agape love in our hearts, that kind of love that does not fluctuate with how you feel. Okay, it's the love from which you were born. Okay, that you came out of. Okay, just acknowledge that and send that, and then you don't have to worry about how you feel at any given moment about anybody. You do your best. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll be starting our next series next Sunday or Monday, and it is going to be about radical self-acceptance. Okay, which is our code. We're going to break it down into 5 weeks. We're going to do our best to show you what it looks like in different parts of your life when you radically accept yourself. Okay, so we're going to show you what it looks like to do that and what it looks like if you move forward with it and how it can change aspects of those particular parts of your life. Okay, so we'll announce each part on Instagram. Which we're at iwondersisters, on Twitter at iwondersisters, on Facebook, the I Wonder Sisters Tribe. If you want to join us on there, we don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. Twitter does post all of our videos automatically, and Twitter also posts all of our blog posts automatically. But if you want to connect with us, Instagram would be the place because that's where we really are. So, okay. That's it.
Okay.
All right, guys. Oh, and I can put Maxie down because Maxie is a rump roaster.
Also, we have an email address, which is iwondersisterhood@gmail.com. And you can always reach us there as well.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. All right, guys. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.